Ladies and gentlemen, it is not what you wish for that moves mountains. It is the energy with which you live, think, and act. Wishing is easy, anyone can wish. But wishing alone is the badge of the idle dreamer, while energy, focused, unwavering, and charged with purpose, is the signature of those who shape the world. You may sit and desire health, wealth, or love. You may whisper it to the stars, write it on paper, chant it in silence, but the truth remains unchanged. The universe does not reward your wishes. It rewards your energy. It answers not to your hope, but to your vibration. Every successful man or woman you admire did not stop at desire. They turned desire into belief, belief into thought, thought into action, and action into energy. That energy, bold, disciplined, and relentless, became a signal the world could not ignore. Wishes are passive. They lean on chance, but energy is power. It creates motion. It attracts people, resources, and opportunities in perfect rhythm with its intensity. Think of a magnet. It does not plead with metal to come closer. It simply is what it is, and in being so it draws. When your mind is filled with purpose and your spirit burns with faith, you no longer sit and wait. You move, you create, you endure. You stop hoping the mountain moves and start becoming the force that moves it. Do not waste another hour on idle thoughts. Charge your mind with clarity, charge your soul with conviction, pour your energy into action. That, and only that, is how you command results, not by wishes, but by energy, strong, definite, and unshakable. Definite energy, backed by action, creates results, not vague desires. This truth stands at the very foundation of achievement. The world has been misled into believing that to want something badly enough is sufficient for it to appear. But no desire, no matter how grand or pure, can materialize into reality without the force of energy and the discipline of action behind it. Desire is the spark, but energy is the fire that burns through resistance, doubt, delay, and failure. Wishes are easy. They require no discipline. They demand no sacrifice. They ask for no strength. But energy demands your presence, your faith, and your will to act again and again without seeing immediate reward. You may wish for success with every fiber of your being, but if you remain motionless, if you allow your wish to reside only in your imagination without action, then it dies the death of 1,000 tomorrows. A man may sit by the river and wish to cross it, but unless he begins to build a bridge or take the first step to swim, the other side will forever remain a dream. The bridge is not built by wishing. It is built by energy, by labor, by sustained motion. Nature itself is governed by laws that do not respond to dreams but to effort. You reap what you sow, not what you hope for. Definite energy is not chaotic movement or desperate action. It is precise, disciplined, and consistent. It is thought focused into direction. You see, the great error is believing that success is a reward granted to those who simply want it the most. But many want, many cry in silence for change, many hope in their hearts for something better. Yet what sets apart the few who achieve is not the depth of their wishes but the force of their energy, their ability to direct all their thought, emotion, and action toward a specific goal without hesitation, without excuse, and without delay. There is a principle at work in the universe that cannot be tricked. It observes not your tears but your discipline. It recognizes not your want but your work. You can walk around speaking your dreams, writing affirmations, filling journals with vision, but until you act with energy that is aligned, daily and deliberately, your desires remain like clouds in the wind. Energy is the message you send to the world that you are serious, and that energy must come with consistency, because anything done with force for one day and forgotten, the next is no energy at all. It is just emotion. The man who succeeds does not always have the highest intelligence or the most privilege. Often he is the one who directs his inner power with the greatest intensity, who becomes obsessed with the process rather than the outcome, who learns to find joy in building and growing and grinding when no one is watching. His energy is not spent on gossip or complaint. His energy is not diffused in dozens of directions. His energy is concentrated, definite, and aimed like an arrow. because he knows that every step he takes, every hour he works, every inch he progresses is energy that compounds, and that energy creates results. You cannot pray for a harvest if you have not tilled the soil, planted the seed, watered it with patience, and protected it with care. The universe respects law, not laziness. It respects the individual who shows up again and again when it is hard, when the mind is tired, when the world doubts him. That man's energy becomes undeniable. That man, through sheer force of will, begins to attract not because he wished, but because he worked. Wishing is passive. Energy is power in motion. To build a business, to master a craft, to develop character, it all requires more than a fleeting desire. It requires commitment that survives boredom and fatigue. It requires effort when results are nowhere in sight. It requires faith that fuels the energy to move forward when fear tempts retreat. That is the battlefield where success is won. In the quiet hours of persistence, in the daily acts of discipline, in the repeated investment of energy toward a goal, most people are too tired or too distracted to chase with full force. The mind is the workshop of energy. Every thought you entertain sends out a signal. Every emotion you choose to amplify either builds you or breaks you. When you feed the mind definite purpose and couple it with fierce energy, you change the frequency of your life. But if you merely sit and think sweet thoughts, hoping the world bends in your favor, then you are no better than a beggar with a crown. Your thoughts mean nothing unless they are transmuted into action. Energy is what bridges that gap. Energy is what takes a man from wishing to winning. Think of the steam engine. Water sits cold in the boiler. Nothing happens until heat energy is applied. As the heat rises, the water becomes steam, and the steam creates pressure. That pressure powers the engine forward. Your life is no different. Your desire is the water, but unless you apply the energy, day after day, it remains stagnant. It does not push you forward. You must generate pressure through movement. You must build momentum through repeated effort. Only then do you begin to move your life in the direction you desire. It is not enough to be interested. You must be engaged. It is not enough to talk about your goals. You must pursue them with fire. Every day that passes is a vote cast by your energy, not by your hopes. The man who wins is not the man who wanted it the most. It is the man who worked with the most precision, with the most energy, with the most unwavering intent. That energy is the force that shapes events. That energy is the magnet that draws results. So never confuse wishing with working. Never mistake wanting for building. The world does not care about how many dreams you speak. It only reflects what you are, and what you are is determined by the energy you carry. Speak less, move more, dream less, do more. Let your energy announce your purpose. Let your effort define your character. The man who understands this principle will always rise above the man who only waits and wishes. Energy backed by action creates results. Wishes without energy are dust, and dust never builds anything. Everything in your life is a direct reflection of the energy you carry within you. This is not a poetic idea. It is a principle as real and consistent as the law of gravity. Your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, they do not exist in a vacuum. They generate energy, and that energy is constantly radiating outward, creating patterns, influencing people, and shaping events. The energy of your mind and emotions acts as a magnet, pulling into your life the people, opportunities, and circumstances that match its frequency. This is not philosophy. This is reality in motion. When your mental state is clouded by doubt, anger, or fear, you become a magnet for chaos, resistance, and stagnation. You may claim to want success, but if your dominant energy is fear of failure, you will unconsciously push away the very opportunities that could change your life. You may say you want peace, but if your emotional energy is filled with blame, resentment, and inner conflict, peace cannot stay in your life. Your external conditions will always mirror your internal state. What you radiate, you attract. Most people think that outcomes are determined purely by what they do, but what you do is influenced deeply by what you think and feel. Two people can take the same action, start a business, apply for a job, speak to a room, and produce radically different results. Why? Because the energy behind the action is different. One acts with confidence, belief, and clarity. The other acts with desperation, insecurity, and doubt. The energy behind the motion shapes the outcome. The world feels it, even when you don't speak it. When you walk into a room, people feel something before you even say a word. That something is your energy. Your presence is louder than your words. Your emotional state sends signals that others pick up, consciously or not. A calm, focused mind radiates stability. A bitter, scattered mind radiates tension. You do not have to declare what you believe. Your energy speaks for you. This is why self-mastery is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Until you learn to govern your thoughts and emotions, your energy remains reactive, undirected, and chaotic, and so your life follows the same path. You cannot attract greatness with small, weak energy. You cannot draw strength into your life if your mental habit is to complain, shrink, or doubt yourself. The man who commands his reality is the man who commands his emotional state. He does not allow fear to linger in his mind. He does not entertain thoughts of defeat. He may feel fear, but he does not feed it. He may notice doubt, but he does not live in it. He chooses energy that aligns with where he is going, not where he has been. He trains his emotions to serve his purpose. Mental energy begins with thought. Every thought you repeatedly think strengthens a current. That current becomes emotion. That emotion becomes energy, and that energy becomes your magnetic field. If your dominant thoughts are rooted in lack, I am not enough, I'll never succeed, the world is against me, then your emotional state becomes one of powerlessness. That emotional state weakens your energy, and weak energy can only attract more weakness. You do not attract what you desire, you attract what you are. This is why mental discipline is the foundation of all achievement. The man who cannot control his inner world will forever be a slave to the outer one. His emotions will be pulled by events, his peace disturbed by opinions, and his direction stolen by doubt. But the man who builds a strong, stable, and focused inner state becomes immovable. His energy becomes clear, centered, and powerful. That energy becomes his compass, his armor, and his invitation to opportunity. People want to follow those who radiate certainty. They want to work with those who radiate strength. Life rewards those who broadcast clarity. You must understand that your emotions are not accidents. They are choices, not always easy ones, but always possible ones. When you choose gratitude over bitterness, when you choose faith over fear, when you choose discipline over distraction, you are changing your energy. And in doing so, you are changing your magnet. When your mind is dominated by purpose and your emotions are aligned with that purpose, life bends in your favor, not always immediately, not always obviously, but always inevitably. Do not waste time managing circumstances. Manage your energy. Do not focus on controlling people. Focus on controlling your vibration. Do not beg the world to change. Change the signal you're sending. The moment your thoughts become elevated, your emotions become empowered, and your energy becomes magnetic, you will see a shift. New doors open, new people appear, new strength rises within you. It is not luck. It is law. You can observe this law at work in the lives of great leaders, innovators, and thinkers. Their minds are disciplined, their emotions are stable, and their energy is unmistakable. They do not chase opportunity, it comes to them. Not because they are special, but because they radiate strength, confidence, and clarity. They become the type of person that success is drawn to. They build themselves from the inside out. They understand the source of real power. It is not money, not fame, not connections. It is the energy you carry and the consciousness you project. If your life is not what you want it to be, look not at the world, but at your own energy. What thoughts are you dwelling on? What emotions are you feeding? What inner dialogue are you allowing? Because all of that becomes your energetic blueprint, and that blueprint becomes your experience. You can lie to the world, but you cannot lie to your vibration. It will always reveal the truth of who you are and what you expect from life. Choose thoughts that build. Choose emotions that strengthen. Feed your spirit with discipline and your mind with clarity. Your energy is the cause, your reality is the effect. You want better, then be better, think better, and feel better, not once, but every day. That is the path, that is the law, that is the power of energy. There exists a fundamental divide between those who live by wishful thinking and those who live by willful energy. The weak mind, untrained and undisciplined, finds comfort in fantasy. It dreams of a better life, a higher status, a great accomplishment, yet it refuses to move. It mistakes desire for destiny, forgetting that without work nothing is earned, and without energy nothing is attracted. Wishing becomes its only action, and waiting its only plan. To wish without the will, to act is to surrender your power before the battle begins. The weak mind drifts because drifting is easy. It floats from idea to idea, hope to hope, without ever anchoring itself in purpose. It confuses temporary inspiration for lasting conviction. It waits for the right mood, the perfect time, or some sign from the outside world. And while it waits, time passes, opportunities vanish, and life slips through its fingers like dust. A wish is a silent statement. It makes no sound, no movement, no demand, but energy. It commands attention. Energy declares to the universe, I am ready, I am moving, I am becoming. The strong mind does not waste time imagining what might happen. It pours its energy into creating what will happen. Where the weak mind asks, what if, the strong mind says, what's next? It takes the same desire, but channels it through effort, persistence, and resilience. Idle wishing leads to dependency. It creates a habit of external blame. The man who only wishes blames luck, circumstance, other people, and fate. He thinks success is about being chosen. He hopes someone will discover him, save him, validate him. And because he waits for that, he remains invisible. His life becomes a series of maybes and somedays. But someday never comes to the man who waits. It only arrives for the man who moves. Energy, on the other hand, is self-reliant. The strong mind does not ask for a handout. It builds, it creates. It sacrifices today's comfort for tomorrow's reward. It understands that success is not stumbled upon. It is summoned by consistent, deliberate energy. No man has ever achieved greatness by sitting still. He had to get up, face resistance, and keep going long after motivation faded. His energy, not his wishing, carried him through storms and setbacks. Wishing is emotional. It depends on how you feel, but energy is grounded in discipline. Discipline shows up whether you feel like it or not. The strong mind is not controlled by feelings. It controls them. It knows that emotion is a tool, not a master. So even when doubt arises, even when failure stings, it continues forward, because it has made a decision to trust in energy, not in fantasy. You can observe the difference in daily life. Look at two men with the same goal. One talks about it endlessly, dreams aloud, watches others succeed, and waits for something to click. The other says little but works daily. He learns, he fails, he tries again. The first man wishes. The second man works, and the world, being governed by law, not luck, rewards the second. The one who moves with energy will always be ahead of the one who merely wishes for change. The weak mind hides behind excuses. It's not the right time. I don't know how. I'm not ready. These are the walls that idle wishing builds, but the strong mind sees excuses as invitations to grow. It says, if I don't know how, I will learn. If it's hard, I will endure. If I fail, I will rise. That is energy in action. It pushes forward when logic says stop. It refuses to remain stuck in desire. It must do something with it. Energy is the currency of progress, and like any currency, it must be spent to create value. You cannot save your energy in the vault of dreams and expect returns. You must spend it in the marketplace of action. The more you use it with purpose, the more it multiplies. This is the paradox of effort. The more energy you give, the more energy you generate. It builds momentum, clarity, and confidence. It turns struggle into strength and motion into mastery. Idle wishing weakens the soul. It creates a habit of helplessness. Each day spent only wishing chips away at your belief. You begin to doubt your own ability. You question whether success is even possible for you. But that doubt was not born from truth. It was born from inaction. The longer you wait, the heavier the weight becomes. The antidote is simple. Move, act, use your energy. The moment you do, the cloud begins to lift. Because you've shifted from hoping to building. The world belongs to the energetic, not to the lucky, not to the talented, but to the ones who show up every single day, the ones who take their goals seriously, the ones who don't need applause or permission, the ones who are willing to be uncomfortable, unrecognized, and misunderstood, because their focus is not on looking successful, but becoming successful. Their minds are strong, their spirits steady, and their energy unstoppable. You must decide what kind of mind you will build, one that hides behind fantasy or one that creates through force. Will you spend your life wishing things were different? Or will you rise, work, and force them to be different? Every day is a decision. Every moment, a chance to convert thought into energy and energy into results. The weak mind will always find a reason to wait. The strong mind finds a reason to begin. Do not become addicted to dreams. Become addicted to movement. Train your mind to value effort over emotion, discipline over comfort, results over imagination. Because in the end, it is not the size of your wish that determines your future. It is the size of your will, the strength of your mind, and the energy you are willing to give, the weak wish, the strong work. That is the law, that is the truth, that is the difference. There is a force in this world that does not bend to weak intentions or half-hearted efforts. It does not listen to the man who merely whispers his desires. It listens to the man who declares them with his entire being, mind, heart, and body. The universe is not moved by passivity. It does not respond to vague hopes or gentle nudges. It answers intensity. It obeys the soul that burns with clarity, focus, and unwavering determination. Passivity is the language of the uncommitted. It says, I want this, but its actions say, only if it's easy. It whispers dreams, but it sleeps through opportunity. It desires growth, but fears discomfort, and in the end it attracts nothing, because it radiates nothing. The universe does not recognize passivity as a command. It recognizes it as confusion. The man who sends a weak signal receives a weak result. He wonders why life does not change for him, but life is only responding to the frequency he has chosen. Intensity, on the other hand, is unmistakable. It is not loud or chaotic. It is focused. It is precise. It is full of conviction. A man with intense energy does not need to convince others. His energy speaks for itself. He is not begging for success. He is moving toward it like a man on fire. He is not waiting for signs. He is the sign. The universe sees this and moves to match him, because intensity is not just action. It is alignment. It is when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors all point in the same direction. Think of the great achievers in history. None of them approached life casually. They did not drift. They charged. Their energy was directed like a beam of light. No scatter, no doubt, no hesitation. The universe responded by opening doors for them, not because they were lucky, but because their intensity made them unignorable. You cannot ignore a man who knows what he wants and moves like he's willing to die for it. That kind of presence bends the world to his favor. Passivity keeps you polite. Intensity makes you powerful. You can be soft, spoken, and still intense. You can be quiet and still magnetic, because intensity is not noise, it is depth. It is rooted in purpose. It comes from knowing why you move and where you are going. The passive man asks, what if it doesn't work? The intense man says it must work, because I will not stop until it does. That belief, when real, is a force greater than circumstance. The universe, in all its complexity, functions through a system of cause and effect. When your energy is shallow, unfocused, and inconsistent, the effect is the same. But when your energy is deep, directed, and consistent, the effect is amplified. Results are not accidental. They are caused by energy made visible. Intensity compresses time. It speeds up transformation. It draws the right people, the right ideas, and the right moments to you, not by chance, but by resonance. Passivity is easy. It requires nothing but daydreams and delay. But intensity requires everything. It demands that you stop wasting time, that you stop making excuses, that you stop compromising your potential for the comfort of routine. It demands sacrifice, of distractions, of weakness, of laziness. And in return, it gives you control, it gives you strength, it gives you the power to shape your life from the inside out, not in years, but in weeks, in days, because when your energy is intense, progress becomes exponential. The man who moves with intensity does not need motivation. He is driven by mission. His life is not ruled by how he feels in the morning. It is ruled by what he knows he must do. He is not here to fit in. He is here to rise above. And because he carries that energy, he becomes a force that cannot be overlooked. That is what draws opportunity, not charm, not luck, not passive wishing, but energy that commands respect. Passivity looks like kindness, but often it is fear wearing a mask. The fear of being rejected, the fear of failure, the fear of being misunderstood, so it stays quiet, it plays small, it waits for permission, but the universe does not wait. It does not slow down for those who hesitate. It moves for the bold, it opens to the ones who act, who speak, who live with intensity, because their signal is clear. Their presence is undeniable. To move from passivity to intensity, you must begin with decision. Not a thought, a decision, a real one that removes all other options. A decision to stop tolerating average, to stop apologizing for your ambition, to stop living in fragments and to start living in full. That decision is the spark, but it is your daily energy, the way you show up again and again. That feeds the fire. You don't need to know the whole plan. You need to move with full energy in the direction of what you believe in. And as you do, clarity will come, confidence will grow, momentum will build. That is how the universe works, not by chance, but by movement, not by hopes, but by heat. Life responds to the man who burns, not the one who waits. If you feel stuck, check your energy. Are you moving with intensity or hiding in hesitation? Are you focused or are you scattered? Are you all in or still deciding? Because the answer is not in the world, it's in your level of commitment. Turn up the intensity and you'll see the shift. Speak with conviction, act with urgency, think with clarity, and the universe, which reflects back exactly what you give, will return that fire in the form of results. Intensity is the secret ingredient. It separates the average from the great. It turns ideas into impact. It turns struggle into strength. The world does not move for the man who hopes, it moves for the man who acts like he's ready. And readiness is not a feeling, it is a frequency, one that must be earned, owned, and projected through energy, not someday, now. There is a law that governs all success, all failure, all movement in life. It is not the law of wanting, it is not the law of needing, it is the law of attraction through dominant energy. What you consistently hold in your mind, what you emotionally radiate, what you back with action, becomes the signal that draws your future to you. Not because you wished for it, but because you matched it. People go through life believing they'll get what they want simply because they want it. They speak of dreams, desires, goals, but their energy contradicts their words. They say they want success but carry the energy of doubt. They say they want change but keep thinking like the person they've always been. They say they want love, wealth, purpose, but their energy is anxious, unsure, lazy. And life is never fooled. It doesn't listen to what you say, it listens to what you are. You cannot trick the universe with empty words. You cannot declare a desire while radiating weakness and expect power to respond. Your energy must become aligned with your vision. It must become dominant, so consistent, so focused, so charged that nothing else can exist within you. That is what attraction really is, not a wish, a frequency. A commitment so intense that everything around you begins to rearrange to match it. When you walk into a room, people can feel your energy before you speak. When you work toward your goals, the world senses your seriousness before you even succeed. You attract not what you beg for, not what you cry for, but what you consistently are, and that is shaped by your habits, your self-talk, your mindset, and most of all, your repeated actions. Attraction is not mystical. It is mechanical. It is cause and effect on a deeper level. The man who wakes up every day and thinks, acts, and moves like someone worthy of greatness, he attracts greatness, not because he is lucky, but because his entire being is tuned to that level. His standards are high, his focus is sharp, his energy is intentional. He does not complain about results because he knows results reflect his dominant state. And if he doesn't like what he sees, he doesn't curse the world. He sharpens his energy. Look closely at your life right now. It is a mirror. It is showing you what your dominant energy has been, not just in your good moments, but in your most consistent moments. You might have bursts of motivation. You might occasionally think positive. But what do you usually do? What do you usually feel? That usual is your dominant vibration, and that is what is shaping your world, not the isolated desires that flash through your mind when you're inspired. This is why people fail with goals. They want something new, but they stay the same. They write down their dreams, but act like yesterday. They demand better, but settle in behavior. Wanting alone is not enough. Change does not respond to want. It responds to energy. It responds to identity. You cannot attract a new life with the same frequency as your old one. To change what you attract, you must change who you are. Not in theory, in practice. Change how you think about yourself, speak with greater conviction, move with more purpose, cut out distractions, stop negotiating with weakness, decide fully that you are no longer available for the energy that created your limitations. That's how you shift your dominant vibration from average to unstoppable. Dominant energy is not just power, it's consistency. It's easy to have strong energy when you feel good, when life is going your way. But that's not dominance. Dominant energy means you hold the same internal state, whether it's raining or shining, whether people support you or abandon you, whether things are working or falling apart. Because your center is no longer based on conditions. It's built from decision. You must become the kind of person whose presence alone attracts elevation. Not because you're loud, not because you seek attention, but because your energy speaks louder than words. You walk differently. You think with intention. You don't chase people or beg for opportunities. You radiate such clarity, confidence, and discipline that what belongs to you naturally finds you. Because the law cannot be cheated, it delivers exactly what you match. Look at the great achievers of history. They had a magnetic energy about them. Not because they were perfect, but because they were certain. They had flaws, they had failures, but their energy was dominant, it was focused, it was unwavering. They walked in alignment with their goals before the world recognized them, and that internal alignment drew everything to them, not all at once, but in time, through law. This means you must become brutally honest with yourself. What is the energy you are carrying daily? What is your attitude when no one is watching? What do you believe about yourself when things get quiet? That is your dominant frequency, and it cannot be faked. If it is weak, you will attract weakness. If it is indecisive, you will attract confusion. But if it is solid, grounded, intense, you will attract clarity, progress, and power. The beauty is, you have control. You can shift your energy at any moment. You can begin to show up differently. You can change your habits, sharpen your focus, elevate your environment. You can train your mind to think like the person you want to become. And as you do that repeatedly, you overwrite the old pattern. The new energy becomes dominant, and from that point forward, life no longer becomes a battle of chasing. It becomes a process of alignment. Do not be fooled by appearances. Behind every breakthrough is a man or woman who matched the level of what they wanted before they received it. They rose first in energy, and life met them there, and so must you. Rise in energy, rise in thought, rise in action. Make it your standard to carry greatness in the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you commit. Because in the end, people do not get what they casually hope for. They get what they consistently attract, not from fantasy, but from frequency, and that frequency is earned, not imagined. That is the law, that is the key, that is the truth.